Welcome back, sports fans. Here we are in day 2 of Unit D with the trigonometric identities. I don't know if I mentioned it in the first part of the first lesson that we had in this unit, but the reason that we do all these manipulations with all these different identities is to help you remember them, because they come up and simplifications of calculus type problems and that kind of thing. So the main thing is they want you to know that these exist and that you can use them to simplify different things. So let's start off with this one. It says to check the identity, cosine of theta minus pi over 2 equals sine theta, for theta equals pi over 3. Don't get wigged out by this. This is very simple. They want you to check it for this angle measure. So all you have to do is just substitute pi over 3 into the expression for theta. So I'm going to put a pi over 3 here and a pi over 3 here. So I'm going to substitute them into both sides there. And then just show that you get the same answer on your calculator. So does this equal this? Well, we're going to put in pi over 3 for the theta. Notice the theta changed to pi over 3 and pi over 3 over on this side, and then we just input that into our calculator. So we're going to plug it into our calculator and make sure that you're in radian mode. So go to the mode button, make sure you're in radian mode, and then type in cosine pi over 3 minus pi over 2, just like that. Hit enter, you get 0.8660254,038, and then do the sine of pi over 3. Type that into your calculator, and you're going to get 0.8660254, yada yada yada. And you notice that these are both the same. That's all they're saying for you to do. So we get 0.866 for both of them. So check, it's it. That's all you have to put on your paper. Some people draw a line down here and show you get the same thing on both sides, but that's what you're doing. On this one, derive an identity for the following using a cofunction of each. So you should have those listed on your card, the cofunction of this. So when you look at this, I want you to put it in terms of sine and cosine, and that's a big tip for all of these trig simplifications. If you put stuff in terms of sine and cosine, something good always happens. So the cotangent of x is the same as the cosine of x over the sine of x. And so if I have the cotangent of theta minus pi over 2 instead of an x, I can say the cotangent of theta minus pi over 2 is the same as the cosine of theta minus pi over 2. You see how that works? The cotangent, the x, is this whole thing right here, the theta minus pi over 2. So all I did is put that in for x on the top, and I'd put that in for x on the bottom. Then you look at your card and say, okay, what is the cosine of theta minus pi over 2 equivalent to? Because you're looking for cofunctions, and cofunctions look like this. So by substitution, you find that cosine of theta minus pi over 2 is the same as sine of theta. And sine of theta minus pi over 2 is the same as negative cosine theta. So then that's the same sine over cosine as tangent theta. Since one is positive, and since the top is positive and the bottom is negative, it's a negative tangent of theta, the opposite of the tangent of theta. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so the next example I'm going to do for you, it says write an equivalent expression for sine of theta minus pi. What you need to do for this one is graph it in your calculator and then match the graph to one of the following. They expect for you to be able to recognize what the sine looks like, what the cosine looks like, and what its flip or reflection looks like. So it's either going to be sine x, negative sine x, cosine of x, or negative cosine of x. A quick way to set your graphing calculator, before you look at these, make sure you know it has to go from like negative 2 pi to 2 pi and so on. But the quick way is on the zoom button of your calculator underneath the window. The zoom button brings up these different things, and there's a Z trig. That's an easy way to set it for a typical trig window. So if you just hit number 7, it automatically sets your window to the standard trig window. Alright, so we're going to put in y equals sine of x minus pi. And we've got our window set, and what we end up with is this one right here. So you have to decide which of these is it, sine x, negative sine x, cosine of x, or negative cosine of x. If you notice, you have zeros at 0, pi, and 2 pi. So it's definitely not cosine of x. And just to review, the sine of x looks like this, negative sine x looks like this, Cosine of x looks like a big W, and the negative cosine of x looks like a big M. You should be familiar with what each of these looks like, and you can see that we have a match right there. Negative sine x matches this graph. So the sine of theta minus pi is the same as negative sine x.